Welcome to the Sangha House and our meditation YouTube channel.
I don't know about you, but these times are tricky at the moment, and there's lots of stuff going on in the news, and it does result in quite a jangled, tense mind sometimes. Meditation is a great antidote to that. This evening, I'm going to talk you through, well, actually it's based on a couple of phrases my mum used to use. So Mum, thanks for this. This is down to you, this one. My mum, the easiest way to wind her up is to say to her, Mum, you'd make a great Buddhist. So the two phrases are no matter and never mind. And she always used to use these two phrases when we were growing up. Whatever happened, no matter, or never mind. So I'm going to use these two phrases, not necessarily in the same context she did, but I'm going to look at it from a Buddhist perspective. So let's talk about no matter, first of all. No matter. So here we're talking about the physical element of matter, the stuff that builds our world, builds our tables and chairs, etc. No matter. How can that possibly work? Surely matter is all around us. If I'm wandering around the kitchen and I whack my toe against the table leg, I do discover how hard it is. Buddhism focuses on our subjective experience of life and therefore our subjective experience of matter. What does that mean? Well, it's literally the picture we build inside of our heads of the world around us. It tends to look at our own bodies in terms of that subjective experience. This thinking grew out of what is the ancient Vedic tradition, which was kind of the precursor to Hinduism and also Buddhism. Philosophy that's around 2,600 years old. Just get your mind around that. So ancient tradition. But before we dig into the actual Vedic thinking, let's take a look at Buddhism and see what that says about matter. So I'm going to quote now from the Nikayas. It's part of the Pali Canon, which is essentially the Buddhist Bible. It's the documenting of the Buddha's words, if you like. And the Nikayas says, "This, my body, is material, made up from the four great elements. It's born of mother and father, fed on rice and gruel, impermanent, liable to be injured and abraded, broken and eventually destroyed. And this is my consciousness, which is bound to it and dependent on it." Buddhism doesn't see a separate body and mind. It says they're one and the same. From a Buddhist perspective, because it focuses on subjective experience, i.e. our own experience of the world around us, if you like, it says that nothing actually exists. Let's dig into that a little, because we've already said, of course, stuff exists. If I stub my toe, it hurts. But we're going to look into that. The world around us, we can say, exists essentially in two ways. It exists in a physical way and in a subjective way. From a subjective sense first, this is the area that Buddhism concentrates on. When you move around in the world, everything you see, everything you come into contact, everything you touch, we essentially attach a label. Table. That's a table, that is. We can't help it. Us humans, we label things. As an example, just think of your humble wooden bookcase in your lounge, if you've got one. We see the case, we see the shelves, and we see the books. And when we walk into the room, we label it bookcase. There it is, and it's become real in front of us. But if we'd walked into that room and that bookcase had no books on the shelves, we wouldn't necessarily label it as a bookcase. We'd label it maybe as a set of shelves. That'd be our label. The bookcase now isn't there. The shelves are. Because that's how we see it. That's our subjective experience. Now just imagine you've walked into the room where the bookcase has been deconstructed. Now, what you might label is pile of wood. That would be your label. But of course, the wood was once a tree, and before that a seed. An animal walking into the same room wouldn't see a bookcase. They'd just see a shape. No label. So in this sense, this subjective sense, the bookcase doesn't really exist. Bookcase is an entirely human subjective experience. And every moment of our lives we're doing this, we're walking around labelling everything. Try and walk around and not label everything. It's really, really difficult. Outside of us humans, such labels don't exist. They're just shapes. So let's dig into the physical side now. And the physical side, so this comes less from a Buddhist thinking, if you like, although Buddha talked about it. But he was inheriting this Vedic view of the subject of matter. The Vaikha Sutra in this ancient set of scriptures, the Vedic scriptures, examines this. And here, the sutra expresses the nature of matter at the smallest level. It talks about atomic structure. It talks about movement of literally atoms. Yes, that Vedic scripture, which was written about 2,600 years ago, talks about atoms and the movement of them. And even more incredible, our modern science is confirming its representations of matter at this level. What we find at this level with our science is that matter exists primarily of empty space and energy. There's nothing there. It is incredible to think, isn't it? 2,600 years ago, the Vedic philosophers came up with this, and it took until about 200 years ago for us to confirm it. When we stub our toe on the table leg at this level, there isn't a table leg, and there isn't a toe. There's just the interaction of energy. So here the subjective experience and the physical experience, well, they seem to diverge. Which one's right? Well, for us, the subjective experience is right. It has to be right. Our toe definitely hurts when we stub it on the table. So our universe, our entire universe, is a complete subjective experience. We create it in our heads, and it always will be. Also, my experience of the universe is different to your experience of the universe, because it's a very individual, internalized view of what we're experiencing. There's no way for me to know what your experience of the universe is. I just can't directly experience it. You can try and explain it to me. That colour of blue is kind of bluish. But that doesn't mean anything to me, because I know what my blue is and you know what your blue is. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Well, that's all very metaphysical. Let's do a nice meditation to bring ourselves down to earth a little. We're going to do the body scan first, which I always recommend we start with. So while we go through the body, you're going to deeply experience your subjective experience of your body. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're going to dive deeply into our experience of our body here, bringing us thoroughly into the present moment. Make sure your phone's turned off, make sure you're not going to be disturbed. Nice, comfortable, seated posture. So sitting down, gently close your eyes and let your gaze just gently come down, slightly downcast, as if you're looking just below the horizon. Take a couple of nice deep breaths, settling in, a feeling of letting go on the out-breath. Just settle a gentle intent in the mind that for this short time you're going to stay with the practice. You're not going to let the troubles of life interfere with this meditation. They'll still be there afterwards. You can just let them go for a while. For the next 10 minutes you're going to be thoroughly here. We start our body scan, so take your mind, your awareness, down into your feet. And you can explore inside the feet and out on the surface. What is your experience of your feet? Now you may find that actual images of your feet come into the mind. Just let those go. I want you to just work with pure awareness of experience, sensation. What can you feel? We notice when the mind interferes, perhaps with expectations of what it thinks it should be feeling. That's just mind. Let it go. Just experience, perceive. On the surface of the skin you may feel tiny little flashes of energy, little sparks, very subtle. Life. Experience that. Now we can come out onto the soles of the feet. Maybe experience their connection with the ground. And we gently work up over the heels and up into the ankles. There's less experience, less sensation in the ankles. We just feel what we can feel. Purpose here is not to experience lots of sensation. It's to learn to focus the mind on pure awareness. Even if we can't feel anything, that's what we're feeling, and we accept that. And now come up gently into the shins and the calf muscles, softening and letting go all of the time. The more we let go of tension, the more still we become. Because the mind is telling the body to relax, the mind lets go too. Become still. Travel up now into the knees. Just take a look here at the complexity of the knees. They work hard, our knees. Offer them a sense of friendship. Contented acceptance if there's any pain or discomfort. Now gently travel along the thighs and the hamstrings, softening all the time, and come up into the sitting bones. Feel yourself relaxing and letting go into the seat. Enjoy the pull of the earth. Connect with it. What's your experience of that? Again, staying away from thought. Just feel, just experience. We allow the head to float up a little and we feel the spine gently stretching. Stay away from tension, but bring in a sense of purpose into the posture. This will help to keep a fresh, focused mind. Now we come into the heart space. Feel the heart. Again, we have to work hard to stay away from thoughts, because the mind, when it discovers emotion, it wants to understand, it wants to justify. We let all of that go, we just feel the heart. Soften and let go in the shoulders, easing out tension. And let your awareness travel down your arms and down into the hands and the fingers. Look at that. Look at how many sensations you find in the hands and the fingers. Lots of experience here. Now travel back up to the head and explore the scalp. Soften the face. Let go of tension in the face. Bring that idea of a contented smile behind the eyes. This will help to ease out tension in the face and actually right through the body. That gaze, almost like you're looking at something you love, someone you love. Feel how it softens you. Now we can bring all of this experience together. So we feel our subjective experience of our whole body. Stay away from thought. In fact, thoughts will come, but we try not to follow them. So we notice them being born in the mind the earliest point, because then we can just let them go and stay with our subjective experience of the body. This is your body feeling it, experiencing it directly. Only you can experience your body in this way, nobody else can. Feel the life in it. Feel its connection to the earth, containing your emotions. Feel the space around you. So we're exploring these two phrases that my mum used to use regularly when I was a kid. No matter, never mind. We've just looked at matter. So we've examined the Buddhist thinking of matter, the Vedic thinking of matter, and we've experienced actually what in Buddhism we call rupa, our form, the body. Before I go further, because we're going to delve into never mind now, I think it's important to note that when I'm talking about mind, I'm not talking about brain. There is a difference. The mind is subjective. The brain is that wobbly grey jelly that sits in my skull. Now, yes, I know there's a connection. Neuroscience is starting to understand when we have certain types of thought or certain types of emotions, different parts of the brain fire up. Yes, we've got that. But I want to give you a bit of an analogy here to explain why there's a difference, why we focus on the subjective nature of mind in Buddhism. And it's the analogy of a mechanic. A very experienced mechanic, worked on cars all his life. Expertise, no doubt about it. People bring all sorts of problems to him with their motors, and they describe the problem. He's instantly able to fix it. But this mechanic has never passed his driving test. He doesn't have a driving license. So he's never driven. Now, it doesn't matter how much understanding that mechanic has got of that car. He will never have the subjective experience of driving. He can try and imagine what it might be like, but he's never actually done it. And that's a very similar comparison with the brain. So the brain, yes, we might understand little bits. We're definitely starting to understand how this thing works. But it still will never give us the subjective experience of our mind, what our world is like for us. We've already touched on this, of course. We said that even our experience of matter or objects is subjective. So we now take a look at the nature of mind that creates this subjective experience. In Buddhist psychology, mind has two primary abilities: to be aware and to create. In the awareness state, by definition, we're fully in the moment. Mindfulness arises from here. And I'm sure you've heard that term. It's used very commonly these days, mindfulness. It can be aware through the five senses, and it's those five senses that it interprets the world around us. But yes, the mind can also be aware of itself. The mind can be aware of the thoughts and images that are flowing through it. A key part of Buddhist practice is learning to do exactly this, to, in a way, draw back from our thoughts and witness them like we witness other experiences in the world. So, for example, a chemical enters the nose, smell. We can choose to experience it dispassionately. We can look into its nature. Does it have a sweetness to it, or is it a bitter smell? And we can do that. And we can do the same with thought. We can see the thoughts as they arise in the mind, as if we're looking at them from outside of the thought. But then the mind also has this creatability. It's an exceptionally powerful part of the mind, its ability to create stories on top of our sense experiences. It's here where our hopes, our fears, our biases, our beliefs, all of this stuff is all created or used to embellish our experience. And this all comes into the mix of our subjective experience. So all of this raises some profound ideas about the nature of the universe and our place in it. We can probably assume that all conscious animals are experiencing their subjective universe. They may well have different sense organs, and also the nature of their minds may also be different. Their experience of the universe, though, will still be a subjective one. Therefore, we can say the only reason the universe knows it exists is because of the sentient beings within it. Just let that sink in for a minute. There would be no universe if there were no sentient beings there to observe it. So, conscious sentient beings are arising like bubbles of awareness in the universe, allowing the universe to see itself. Interesting. Also, here's something else to consider. If the universe emerges from our subjective experience within our minds, then, if our minds are essentially compassionate, this is the universe we will inhabit. However, if our minds are aggressive and unskillful emotionally, that is the universe we will inhabit. So each of us is essentially contributing to and building the universe. Surely it's therefore obvious that we should build it from a place of compassion for us all to inhabit. Food for thought. I'll be right back. So the first step in exploring this nature of our universe and our subjective experience is to get to grips with thoughts, to learn to step back from them. So that's what we're going to do right now. So settling yourself back down into your seat again, and let your eyes rest slightly downcast, gently closed. Take that couple of nice deep breaths. Feeling of letting go on the out breath, settling into the seat. And first of all, what I want you to do is return to that complete picture that you had in the first meditation of your body sitting in your space. Bring that into your conscious awareness, your subjective experience of your body, feeling it. You feel it connecting with the earth through the seat. You feel it containing your emotions. Letting go of tension. Bring a sense of deep stillness into the body and into the mind. Just experience. Let's bring a compassionate tone of mind into this experience. So very gently start to regenerate that feeling of a contented, compassionate smile behind the eyes, as if you're looking at somebody you love. Feel how that softens the body, it softens the mind. Deep feeling of a contented nature. As you do this, stay away from thought. Let thoughts go, just experience. That contented nature, let it travel right through the body. Smiling eyes, smiling heart. Everything softens. We're going to use the breath to bring a sense of focus to this, so start to feel how the body breathes. Feel it, feel the chest rise and fall as the air is drawn in. Breathing gently, following the breath. Just experiencing the body breathing, letting go of thought. Thoughts will come into the mind. When they do, the earlier you can spot them, the better. All you have to do is notice them arising, and you'll find you can gently turn away from them. Not unpackage their stories, just let them go. But in order to do this, you have to notice them arise. Key practice. So we're sitting, feeling an awareness of our body, watching it gently breathe. We can now turn our attention to mind itself and our subjective experience of this. As you do this, you look at your own mind. You can ask questions of it. How big is mind? Can I find the edges? When you ask these questions, don't answer them with thoughts. That's just thinking. Just try to answer them with experience. What is that subjective experience of your mind? You experience your mind exactly the same way as you experienced your foot. What is your mind like? This gives you a really good opportunity to notice when thoughts are arising, in whatever nature they have. There might be dialogue, there might be images, memories. whatever they come as, just notice them arising the moment they start to appear and let them go. So we now have a nice, complete picture of our subjective experience. We have our body, we have our experience of the earth underneath us, space around us, and the experience of mind. Just sitting with all of this, noticing and letting go thought. We keep letting that soft appreciation come into the heart, that feeling of contentedness, just to sit here, happy to be present. Feeling the body gently breathing, experiencing the nature of mind. Letting all tension drain out of mind and body. In this way, we become deeply still. Our heart delivering compassion into this picture. Gentle, compassionate, contented picture of our experience right now. We can deliver a gentle intent into the mind now that will take this practice out into our day, into our week. Just trying to perceive things in a compassionate light. In this way, we change our universe, we remake it. Like ripples in a pond, we make a difference. Om Mani Padme Hum.